Hey, love bugs. It's Dr. Ash coming to you with your divine love channeling. Your channeling all about how to live with unbound love, that kind of love that makes you feel free, fully free to be yourself, fully free to be present in the world, the kind of love that is unconditional, unbound, totally freedom feeling, loving every juicy moment of it. I'm Dr. Ash. I'm a former psychologist, and I am now a coach that helps women who have issues with people pleasing and codependency and all of that stuff to live their own hell yes life, to drop all of the fears of what other people might think, and to finally live a life that makes their toes curl. I am also powerfully psychic and have been called to do more channeling on divine love, on how to live a life beyond codependency, how to love beyond codependency, how to feel totally juicy, connected, and oh, so amazing in every area of your life. The channeling for today came through a bit earlier. And so I wanted to share it with you as soon as possible because these channelings really aren't just about divine partnership, although we are talking about divine partnership. We're talking about divine masculine. We're talking about the divine feminine. We're also talking about the divine love of self. We're talking about the divine love of the world. We're talking about divine self-love. So this channel is all about the different ways in which we can truly embody love. So let's start the channeling. All right, my lovelies. So there was a time in your life when you didn't fear what you were, who you were meant to be. You embraced it with both arms wide open because you knew that the path was filled with light and love and purpose and connection. But somewhere along the way, you stopped seeing yourself clearly. It's as though you were looking through a fogged up glass, and you were looking at yourself and you were distorted in your own vision. You were distorted in your own view of yourself. And so you saw yourself as shriveled, small, and belonging nowhere. You felt, because you were seeing yourself through this fogged up glass, that you were filled with darkness, doubt, fear, that was not in fact a part of your inner being. It was not in fact what was truly there. It was a part of the distortion in the reflection. It was part of the distorted glass, which you had looked at for so long and decided was part of your being. You decided that this fogged up glass meant that you were fogged up. You decided that this distortion that you saw in the mirror meant that you were distorted. And it was false. It was not true. It is not part of your being. It is not who and what you are. You are so much more than this. This glass that shows you only half of what you truly are. You have nothing to prove and nowhere to hide. Both equally disturbing when you think about it. When you have nothing to prove, you can and must and will be all of yourself. Vivid, an example of the epic grace of what it means to be a woman, what it means to be yourself, what it means to be the divine feminine, comfortable in all of her glory, what it means to be you. And when you feel like you have nowhere to hide, I know I can feel that tension in your stomach when I say that. When you feel like you have nowhere to hide, it means that you are always exposed, that people can always and will always see all of you, that you're vulnerable, that you're open, that you're unguarded. And yet these are essential pieces of your truth, of seeing yourself clearly and not through that fogged up glass, seeing yourself through the crystal clarity of true reflection is to allow that vulnerability, that openness, that unguardedness that is truly the expression of your divinity. And yet it's terrifying. It's terrifying to think about the fact that would mean you have nowhere to hide. What both of these mean, that you have nothing to prove and you have nowhere to hide, they mean a new layer of trust and repose. By repose, I mean relaxing, sitting back, leaning back into yourself, trusting in who you really are. A new layer of connection to the truth of who you are. Nowhere to hide, nowhere to run. You know what you are, and you know that you are not posing anymore. You don't have to pose the questions of either or if I should or shouldn't I. You are only posed with the question of, will I stand here in fear and terror and embarrassment? Or will I stand here with pride and delight and with honor at who this being is that stands in the naked glass, that no longer hides and distorts who I really am, but that reveals the true vulnerability and true heart and true nature of my essence, which means that I might have nowhere to hide, but it also means I never have to hide myself ever again. Will I allow myself to be what I came here to be? Naked, exposed, and graceful in my fullness, in the epic beingness of what it means to be myself, the real me, no longer disguised by the clenching falsity of what others think of me or of what others fear I might be. And instead, just the flowing fullness of what I truly am, of what I was brought here to be. What if I didn't have to fear myself any longer, and I could just be a member of the human race, imperfect and glowing with the unconditional love of self? That unconditional love that says, this is who I am. This is how I stand. And I will no longer be afraid of what anyone else thinks of me. Because those fears that keep you separated from your divine nature, they also keep wealth, health, happiness, joy, satisfaction, and love out of your life. Those fears that say it is not safe to be my not naked, vulnerable, open, unguarded self that is no longer hiding. As long as you believe the lies that say that you are anything other than epically lovable, then you will become like a small shriveled child of a being that is not allowed to stand tall in all of her fullness because she's too large, too much, too overwhelming for others to deal with, when none of those things are true. You see, a true being, graced in all of its authenticity and beingness, is overwhelming to others because those other people, they are not standing in their own light. They are not standing tall. They are not standing up in their full height. They are arched over, breaking their backs to fit in, to blend in. And when you have the gall to stick your neck out, to stand up tall, to be naked in your vulnerability and in your truth, and allow others to actually see you, well, they respond with, how dare you? How dare you be who you really are, which you were really meant to be? Because it makes other people feel small. It makes other people feel as though they can't compete with your light. Because when you stand to your full height, in your full naked vulnerability, your openness, your unguardedness, and you no longer hide it away, the truth is your light is blinding because you are filled with that unconditional love of self that says, I can stand tall even if you don't like it. Because the truth is, those people might think they have to compete with your life, but they don't have to compete with your light. They don't need to do anything but stand tall in their own fullness, in their own divine natures, in their own lights. You see, light is not overwhelming to light. Light is only overwhelming to darkness. So will you stand boldly in your own light and invite others into the fullness of who they really are, into the fullness of what they could truly experience, into the fullness of what it's like to be unconditionally loved, and to give that to yourself through the bravery and surety of standing in it yourself? You must, my love. You must. Stand tall now.